Welcome to the Boss Experience, the podcast that gives you actionable tips and strategies to start your business. And I'm your host, Michele Davis. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Boss Experience podcast. I am so excited to be here with Missy Campbell. And Missy is actually a mom of a ton of kids. And she's also a very, very busy entrepreneur. But most importantly, for the purpose of this interview, Missy is a Pinterest expert. And I think Pinterest is one of those platforms that people are afraid of. They don't know what it is. And they're like, I'll stay away from it. And as I was sharing with Missy, Pinterest is actually where I get most of my traffic from for my e-commerce store. So I think it's a hidden gem that no one wants to talk about and people don't know how to use it. So they kind of leave it alone. And I'm here with Missy to kind of shed some light on what Pinterest is. But before we get into what Pinterest is, let's talk about who is Missy Campbell. I know you're a busy mom, you're a wife. It's like, how do you have time for Pinterest and not just have time for it, but you mastered it?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Michele. Thank you so much. Yeah, I started in my online business journey, in 2016, so about 5 years ago, almost exactly 5 years ago today.
We started the same year.
Yes, yeah, I started in late 2016. So here we are. And yes, I have 4 kids. My oldest is in college, youngest is in middle school. They're all homeschooled. And my husband is actually retired from 22 years in the Army. So he is the homeschool teacher now, which is amazing. And I'm full-time in this business strategy business. And it's been quite an adventure. As you know, it's an evolution getting us where we are right here at this moment. And it's been quite a twisty, windy path, but here we are. And I think those things happen for a reason and we end up, where we're supposed to be. I started in the natural living space in 2016. I was blogging about natural living. I was actually developing recipes for some really niche magazines, doing photography, developing recipes, and learning about online marketing in the meantime, marketing myself and trying to grow my brand. And I signed up for some online courses for business development and ended up connecting with entrepreneurs in that way and going to some live events. And that's where I learned that I had mastered quite a few things about online business that were still a mystery to a lot of people. And I hadn't realized. I was like, I thought everybody just watched free webinars and figured this stuff out. And so that's when people just started asking me questions. How did you build your Instagram? What is Pinterest? I don't understand what it is. And that's how I ended up here, just people asking me those questions. And I ended up evolving into starting to support some people around those things and offering those services. And now I'm full-time as a business strategist and do all sorts of business strategy. But yes, a lot of people come to me specifically for Pinterest.
Now, did you mentioned you were involved in natural living and blogging, and now is that something you had a career in a previous life, or you just had an interest and passion for natural living?
Yeah, just a passion of mine. And I really wanted to start my own thing. I just felt really called to, start something and create something and learn. I just felt really excited about it. And I didn't know anything about, website development or social media or anything when I started. I mean, I was like one of the last people to ever get Facebook, I think.
And when did you get on Instagram?
Instagram was right when I started in late 2016.
Wow, and you went from 0 to how many followers do you have now?
I have about 2,000, and I don't really post there much anymore. Every once in a while I do some Insta stories, but I really am my business is thriving and I just make connections with people and get clients. And so I'm not doing a ton of marketing. It just has all kind of evolved organically to where it is.
And you're just 100% on Pinterest kind of, right?
Really, it's connections I've made in online courses I've been in over the last few years and Facebook groups. That's how people find me.
Wow. So, tell us a little bit about, or tell the audience about Pinterest. Like, what is it? Like, how did you, I know you were doing natural living. Were you doing natural living pins? Like, what made you say this is my platform?
Yeah, I would say in my business, simple has always been through all of my evolution from the natural living piece until now. That has been a thread that runs through everything. And when I learned about Pinterest, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a way where you can create something that lives on forever, which on social media, everything has a shelf life of less than a week. And, if it goes viral, you might be lucky to get a week or 10 days out of it. And with Pinterest, the shelf life is forever. And I love to have the phrase intentionally lazy. I use that to describe myself. And so I like to, streamline. How can I create something now that's going to have an effect in the long term? Building bridges is what I call it. And so Pinterest is one of those things where when you create something, as long as it's optimized with keywords and phrases and things that people would look for when they're looking for what you do, then they will find you. And the pin can be 10 years old and they still could find you. And one thing I love about Pinterest is, as opposed to other social media, which is trying to keep you on the platform more or less, except with the ads, on Pinterest, it's actually a traffic driver. It's a search engine rather than social media. So think of Google. When you search something, the whole point is to find something, click it, and take you to that thing. And that's the same with Pinterest. So the point is for you to search for what you're looking for, find it, and when you click it, it takes you to the thing. So that's what I love about it, that you can create something and it can continue to work for you for a long, long time.
I'm glad you said it's a search engine because I think people kind of lump Pinterest in with Instagram and Facebook, and it's just so different. And for my e-commerce brand, I get like probably 60% of my traffic from Pinterest. And, for a long time, that's been kind of where I've gotten most of my sales through Pinterest because people actually buy from Pinterest. And I know some people may be thinking, well, Pinterest is for bloggers or for people that have maybe e-commerce stores, but is Pinterest really for everyone?
I will tell you that in the years that I've been offering these strategy services, I have only had one person ever come to me, and I'm always extremely honest about how, what can work for you in your business. I've had one person ever come to me who was, I want Pinterest, please help me with Pinterest. And I told them that it was not the right platform for them, that LinkedIn was going to be the best platform for them. And the reason was because they were in the tech startup space. And to me, LinkedIn is the best space for, developing those relationships, probably not Pinterest. I couldn't even think of what content you would create and who your audience would be on Pinterest in that niche. But yes, a lot of coaches, at least in the last 18 months, have come to me wanting to get on Pinterest. They hear in Facebook groups, they're getting a little worn down by social media and wanting some alternative ways to, get some things out there and bring more people into their world. So yeah, at this point, there's really very, very few spaces where I would say, really that more small tech startup is probably the only thing I can think of in the online business space that is probably not the perfect place. Most people who come to me, even if it's not specifically for Pinterest, I at least recommend them getting their account set up, doing some keyword research, strategically setting some boards up. But yeah, coaches, e-commerce, any sort of blogging space, any sort of service provider space, any sort of product, all of those things Pinterest is a perfect place for you to get your things up.
And you can even run ads on Pinterest. Now, I know people are kind of like worn out from, the Facebook groups and the little spammy posts, to get emails and also people are worn out from Facebook ads. because it's not the same. Facebook ads aren't the same as they used to be. You used to be able to get a lot of traction from Facebook ads, but Pinterest has an ad platform as well, right?
Yes. And what I love about it is most people can figure it out on their own versus with the ads manager, as we know in Facebook, you pretty much at this point have to hire an expert. It
Mm.
used to be, like you said, a few years ago, I could set up my own ads and put $50 in and have a decent ad and have it, have a return on investment. But at this point, it's so nuanced and it's like a maze in there to know, have I set this up right? Am I breaking any rules? There's just so many pieces to Facebook ads, but with Pinterest ads, the targeting is a lot simpler. The interface itself is a lot simpler, and Pinterest simply shows it to the right people based on what the image is and what the copy is. So you do choose very loosely, the audience and the categories and a little bit of targeting, but it's just so much simpler than Facebook, and pretty much anyone, just by kind of poking around and going through the drop down menus could set up an ad.
That's awesome, because I think people are just frustrated with the limited options to really get their business out there. And so let's talk about, kind of like people that may be listening to this podcast and thinking, well, I'm on Pinterest and I'm not getting, nothing's happening for me. What are these ladies talking about? Like I'm not getting any traction. So what are some common mistakes you see people making when it comes down to using Pinterest and actually getting traction from the platform?
Mm-hmm. So they don't realize that it's a search engine instead of social media. And so they think, like with Instagram, you put together your image and you put together a caption and maybe have some hashtags and you post it. With Pinterest, I see people doing the same thing. They make it, they pin it once, and they're on to the next piece of content. And I think most people do not have a content issue. Most people have created way too much content and they need to get more strategic. They need to go through, filter, identify the most common, popular things that they've created in the past, and they need to go through and revamp them, optimize them, and spend their time making money in their business and not creating so much content. That is what I'll say about that. The biggest mistakes are exactly that, just pinning once and not understanding that it's a search engine. So by that, I mean, you've got lots of places to optimize for keywords, and that's your bio. That's the name of your boards. That's the description on all of your boards. That is the description. I mean, right now you can have alt tags. It's getting deeper and deeper in all of the ways that you can optimize everything on Pinterest. And when you've sit down, spend a couple of hours typing in the kinds of things that you offer and see what comes up. Click on pins, read the descriptions, start a bank of keywords. And, what would people search for? What do people search for? You can find out, in Google what sorts of phrases and things people are searching for, and you can use those over on Pinterest. So I recommend just starting to brainstorm some people in your niche you can think of, or if you're not aware of who those people are, just start typing in words and phrases like Pinterest strategy, for me, for example, and see who comes up, what's already out there, what keywords are they using, which things are getting really good traction, and using that information. And I just like to make copy and paste banks of things. So get your keywords and things all organized. So every time you create content, all you do is go over to your bank and describe what it is, and then copy and paste some of your keywords and things like that, so that those are attached to everything that you make. And then you just can know that every time somebody comes and searches for that thing, they can find it. By pinning on one board, I'll explain, why I think that's a mistake. My strategy is always, when you create your boards, think of, you want to have about 10 to 12 brand specific relevant boards. You can have other things. I think it's great to throw your personality in there. So if you love to, cook vegan food and you like to, as long as it's not a huge contrast to your brand, I think it's totally relevant to include those things and have them public. If it's not, if it's a little bit like you're remodeling your mudroom, maybe make that secret. It really depends. If you're a lifestyle blogger, it could totally make sense. So just think about, does it feel off, or is it showing people more of who I am? And you can keep those on there, but you want to have 10 to 12 that are specifically for, showing people what it is that you offer and what you do and what you're an expert at. And I like to say with those, at least 1, 2, or 3 should be a little bit outside of what you offer. It's not what you offer, but it's in support. So it's like when you collaborate with somebody, like we're collaborating now, that board can provide information and resources. And maybe it's not a service or a product that you offer, but it's very much complementary. So I recommend, I call it 6 degrees out. So you want to have 1, 2, or 3 of those 10 to 12 boards that are a little bit outside of what you offer. And that's a way for people to find you organically. So if they're interested in that, they're likely also interested in what you offer. So it's like another extending your bridge a little bit further out for more ways for people to find you. One of your boards should be the name of your brand. And that's just a place where you're going to pin everything that is your content, that is your freebie, promoting your Facebook group, if you're e-commerce, your products, if you're a coach or any kind of service provider, a low price point offer that you have, like low price point digital offer. Those are all things that you can create pins for. So there's so many things outside of recipes and crafts and things for our kids back to school and holidays that we can create pins for. And then once you pin to everything, each time you create it, to your brand board, then I want you to think about what other boards I created, the more specific, the better, that I could also pin that thing to. And I recommend using Tailwind. I still think Tailwind is the best for Pinterest. I know they've kind of branched out with other social media scheduling. I still think it's the best for Pinterest. And that's all that I use it for, is only for Pinterest. That's what it does really well, because you can schedule out. So you could pin all of your things to your brand board, and you could schedule out over the next week for it to pin out to these other boards that you've created. So they're going to be more specific. Like for me, I actually still have a lot in the natural living niche. Actually, that's what most of my boards are still about, because I love the way it looks, and that was sort of my baby, and I created all of that. But, I could have some about email marketing, and some about Instagram strategy, and some about Pinterest strategy, and some about mompreneurs, like all these things. So if I create something about Pinterest, I could pin it to a business strategy board, to a mompreneur board, to my brand board. And then in addition to that, I recommend finding some collaborative boards to join. So those are, anyone can start one. So you could start one. There are many that exist, and you'll just start searching things and finding boards. So they're owned by somebody else, and it's open for other people to join. So with your personal boards, only you can pin to them, unless you open it up and invite people to collaborate and also pin there. But with the collaborative boards, once you get accepted, you can pin your pins there too. So it's just more ways for you to get more out of each thing that you create. And a lot of the collaborative boards do have a very large following. So that's helpful. And oftentimes there are rules where if I pin a pin, if I pin one of my own pins, I have to repin a pin from somebody else. And so with that rule in place, there's a good chance that other people will repin your thing to their boards. And then, you're just expanding your reach exponentially by that one little step. So that is a part of my process that's really important, is finding people collaborative boards to join. And you can schedule all that out in Tailwind again. Once you've joined the boards, when you pin your brand board, you can schedule out to pin to your boards that are relevant for that content, and also any of the collaborative boards that you join that are relevant to that content over the next week to 10 days. And like I said, once it's pinned and it's optimized with keywords at every level, from the title to the description, on the pin, your boards, your account is all optimized. You're going to get quite a bit of visibility on each thing. So that is the biggest mistake I see, is people treating it like social media and just a one-time post and leave it.
So they're not nurturing, they're not doing the market research, and most importantly, they're not developing a strategy. So are you seeing people kind of build their entire business from Pinterest traffic, or?
I know people who run multi-million-dollar businesses who do not have social media.
And they're just solely on Pinterest, penning away with strategy.
Yeah. What I love about Pinterest is the maintenance is so minimal. So once you spend that, I say you can sit down, you spread it out over a week or two, but give yourself 10 hours to do some research, create some pin templates. Once you do that, your maintenance will be under 2 hours a month. Once you've got all of those things in place, where you've identified keywords, created a copy and paste bank. I recommend with every pin include your brand name, either in the title or the description. Find a couple of hashtags. That is kind of gone in and out of style on Pinterest. It's back in. So do find a small hashtag bank just by researching. And it's a lot more general than on Instagram again. So it's fairly simple. Like for me, hashtag Pinterest strategy. It's pretty intuitive. On Instagram, there's all sorts of nuanced, and you use a lot more hashtags on Instagram. Pinterest, you can just do 2 to 5 on each of your pins. So just as part of your research process, when you're making your keyword bank, also start a hashtag bank of, 10 to 15, and you can kind of pick and choose, depending on what content you're creating. And you apply those to your pin description. So you've got your title, which is where you use some keywords, describe what the content is. If you have space, include your brand name, your personal name, anything that people can search for and find you. If you don't have space for your brand or your name in the title, put that in the pin description, go more in depth, include your keywords, include your hashtags, include the alt text, and then you can have a link. And when people click your pin, it takes them to any place you want them to go. So that could be for coaches, I do a lot of, as an idea, promoting their Facebook group on Pinterest, promoting maybe a free consult they offer, promoting anything that builds their email list, and any sort of low price point offer, anything under, I would say $97. Anything under $100, you can create pins for. And each piece of content, I recommend, to make it really simple on yourself, do 3 to 5 pins for each individual thing. And even with only 4 or 5 pieces of content, now you can have up to 25 pins already.
Wow. So I think when people neglect these, lesser talked about platforms, I think they are missing out on their people, their target audience, because they think, oh, I need to be on Instagram. My target audience is there. But the key thing is market research, know where your audience is, and know that Pinterest has millions and millions of people using the platform every day. That was what blew me away, because the number is actually comparable to Instagram and Facebook, which is mind blowing. And it's, your pins can live on Pinterest. Now, you actually created a program around Pinterest to help people kind of learn the platform and to really get the traction that they need. Can you share a little bit about your program?
Yes, it's called Pin Magic, and it's in process right now to launch early next year. And yes, I'm really excited about it. I've been setting up Pinterest accounts for over 3 years, where I, do all of the people fill out a form, and then I do all of their research, create all of their pins. They send me things they want to promote. I make some suggestions, and then I set everything up for them. So I will
Repeat that again. You said you create the pins?
Yeah, I do everything. And then they are left with a bank of keywords. They're left with their hashtags. They're left with all of their templates. And then I teach them exactly how to continue maintaining it. And then they get the recording of that. So Pin Magic is exactly that process that I've been doing in people's accounts for the last 3+ years. And I will just be walking you through exactly how to name your boards, how to do the research, what size you need to make your pins, how to just make some templates and make it really simple on yourself. So you're not like, oh, once you do it once and spend that 10-ish hours, it won't be brain heavy ever again. So that's what I want to reassure. It's not like social media where, oh my gosh, you have to come up with a caption. If you just sit down and go through the process and get it organized where you've got a document with your keywords and your hashtags and you've got templates, all you're going to do is plug in every single time and not have to use 100% of your brain power, which for me, I like to set up a process where if my brain is just really full, I can just follow the steps and I don't have to think all that much. And it's still perfectly optimized and, the highest quality. So that's what we'll be walking through in there. And I'm really excited. I've had so many people over the years say, when are you going to have a program that we can do on our own? I don't want to hire you. I actually want to learn how to do it. So yes, I'm very excited to finally be sharing the entire process with people.
And I think people are excited to hear that too, because we're both moms, we're both busy people, we're both entrepreneurs, and to have someone be able to do all of the research for you and for you to kind of walk into, everything laid out, I think that's so awesome. So awesome. And you said it releases in January.
Yes, in January, I'm going to officially put it out there. I may have it ready before then. It might pop up on my website a little bit before that, but I will officially be making it public in January. And I'm very, very, very excited because I do think, as you were saying, it's a missed marketing opportunity. And I will say that there aren't too many people in the online space, talking about Pinterest. And it's unfortunate to me because most of the marketing strategies they're talking about are really time intensive, as far as social media. And a lot of people I work with don't get a lot of traction from their social media and they're kind of stuck. They've done all the things they were supposed to do.
All the lives, all the posting 3 times a day, and they're exhausted. Yeah. And I think with Pinterest, I think you can post videos.
Yes.
But there's no lives to do, I don't think.
Nope, but no lives to do. No, this is one of my favorite things about Pinterest. You don't need followers. You don't, like on Instagram, we're like thinking about how do I get more followers? If you're in Facebook groups with business people, you see people are obsessed with getting followers. And even in that, I will say, even on social media, followers are not all that important.
No, because they're not buyers necessarily. They're just people that may or may not like your stuff.
Exactly. And you don't need that many dedicated people to have a very successful full-time business. Way less than 1,000 people in your space that you've truly connected with and that you speak directly to and that you genuinely care about and serve. You can easily have a full-time business. And so I'm like, just focus on making one new connection at a time. 1,000 people is not that many. It's actually a huge room of people. If you think of it that way, you could get in front of those people and really connect with them. So yes, on Pinterest, you do not need to worry about getting followers at all. You just need to optimize your content. The viewers and the followers will come, but it has no bearing on the success of your content on Pinterest.
That's awesome. For everyone that's working themselves to the bone, going crazy over content for Instagram and Facebook, you really, really need to consider jumping on board with Pinterest. And I've been, excited, especially, I'm just starting to use it for my coaching services. And so, but I've always been happy with my progress and my sales that I get from the platform, because actually you can sell straight from the platform too. Yeah. So that's really, really awesome. So how do people follow you? How will people learn when Pin Magic is available? I'm sure there's people that will watch this podcast and think, maybe I need to try this. Is Pen Magic going to be a course?
It'll be a course, and I love connecting with people. And so I still want to keep that component of the group calls. So that will definitely be part of at least the first round, where we will actually, you will be able to come on and ask me questions, and I can look at your account and help you. And I want to make that available at least the first time through. So yes, you can find me on all social media at Taste of Simple. So Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and my website is tasteofsimple.com. And to sign up for the waiting list for Pin Magic, it's tasteofsimple.com/pinmagic.
Awesome. Awesome. I am so happy to have this interview and for you to deliver, the value that you delivered for this interview is so awesome, because I think Pinterest is underutilized, and there's people that need sales, and they're just working themselves crazy on all these other platforms. So I'm so happy you were able to join me today and make it simple.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. It's amazing connecting with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Any parting words before we close out today?
No, I want to encourage people that, despite the sense of that we have about Pinterest being for recipes and for our kids and for crafts, it really is a robust marketing tool. And, be the person to lead the way in that space. It's still very underutilized as a marketing tool. And I just want to encourage people, be the person to be the first person in your niche over there. There's a momentum that comes with time. So I'm always to everybody, get it set up. If that's all you do, if you don't have any other brain power to do anything else with it, at least get your account set up, get a nice bio up there, get some boards set up, and get some pins, start to curate some other people's content, at least get that far. Because if you step away from it for 6 months or a year and you're like, I'm ready, you will be amazed at what has happened in that time with you doing nothing but having set it up. If you don't log in for 6 months, you'll be like, wow, I have 2,000 monthly viewers, and I literally spent 10 hours setting this up 6 months ago. So you go ahead, get it set up, and just start there. And it is for all of us. It's for everybody, and not just people making crafts or cooking. Coaches, business strategists are getting their traffic, their sales, all of their business through Pinterest.
And so I'm sure people will see this podcast interview and they'll think, oh, okay, I can buy the course, but I could also hire Missy. You'll still be doing done for you work as well?
Yes, I am still offering that. I do tend to, there's a bit of a waiting list sometimes, like up to 3 months. So,
wow.
But yes,
You're in demand.
There aren't too many people, like I said, in our space and business that are using Pinterest. So there's not really competition.
Well,
Get on Pinterest.
Yes. And so I'm happy you took the time out to educate my audience, and it's awesome. You're awesome. And with that being said, join me in the next The Boss Experience episode. Thank you, Missy Campbell, for being a part of this episode. See you soon. Thank you for listening to the Boss Experience podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and watch my next episode. Take care and be well.